Be talking about a lot of news surrounding Netflix today. It was going to be about one article, and then Matthew found two other articles about Netflix doing a lot of stuff with a bunch of anime series right now. Let's start off with one that has my interest very piqued, which is Neon Gensis Evangelion.
Evangelion. There's a lot of pronunciations. There's a lot, but
so why is this series that's 20 years old? Why is it such a big deal that it's coming back to Netflix?
Well,
not coming back to Netflix, coming to
Netflix at all. It's for one thing because it's very good and it's one of the most influential anime series all time. So to give you a bit of perspective, like before Evangelion came out, there weren't a lot of original TV anime being produced. It was a lot of manga adaptations or a lot of kids stuff, like a lot of, Western influenced animation. Then Evangelion comes out and is very dark and very mature and just very out there and artistic. And suddenly after that point, we started seeing a ton of different shows, ton of original TV anime that are aimed at adult audiences, whereas previously it was just OVAs and films who were targeting those audiences. So it reshaped the landscape in a lot of ways. But in another way, it is big that it's coming to Netflix because the series has been out of print for ages. Like, you can't get it on DVD or Blu-ray without paying a lot of money.
I was going to say, I was doing some research on this. The DVD box set of all 28 episodes, because I think it's only 20-something episodes?
26 episodes.
26, okay. Of 26 episodes, and I think it comes with the 2 movies as well. It's $280.
Ooh, a steal.
So, if you want to get it illegally, you're going to have to, fork over your liver and your heart as well.
Yeah.
And then illegally, I've heard it's very hard to find on the internet when it comes to, finding a site that's reliable and also won't give you a virus.
It's not too difficult because anime illegal streaming sites are pretty... easy. They're annoying, but they're easy to find if you really need to, for those shows that aren't on your average streaming services. So this is huge because now it's going to be accessible to a larger audience, and so you can kind of reignite the fandom surrounding it as well as introduce new people. And it's going to be an international release, so that's really, really huge.
Yeah.
And not only are they bringing the 26 episodes, I think they're bringing the 2 films, one of which is just kind of a recap film, but the second one is literally just called The End of Evangelion. So it'd be weird if they released it and didn't also include that film. But I'm excited because I still need to finish the series, and I mean, what better way to really enjoy it than binging the whole thing on Netflix? So this is absolutely huge.
Do you know if it's gonna be dubbed when it comes to Netflix?
I guarantee you they'll probably use there was already a dub that was made back in the era of when Starz owns Manga Entertainment, back when they were still dubbing stuff. I've heard mixed things about the quality of that dub. It would be interesting if they redubbed it for
Netflix.
the Netflix release.
That'd
be
cool.
interesting.
That'd be really cool.
Hopefully it doesn't. There was one show that was dubbed recently. It was added earlier this year on Netflix. It was an anime, and the dub was so terrible that they recently had to redub it because they got so many complaints about how bad it was.
No, I'm curious.
It was called Ico Incarnation, and it was just. It's I don't know who they hired for that dub, but I don't think they're ever getting work again. But anyway.
This is slated to come out in spring 2019.
Yes, in April 2019, which I will be gone in Japan, funnily enough, when that happens.
But that will not stop us. I want to do a retro review of this. I don't know.
Yes.
We could probably do all 26 episodes because I heard they're only 22 minutes each. So
Yeah.
that's not too bad.
We could do but also
and then the movie I heard you have to watch.
Yeah, the movie, at least the second one. The end of Evangelion. The other one is just recap, which I think even that recap film has parts from the second film in it. It's weird. They even have an intermission in the middle of the film.
Okay.
It's strange. But regardless, this is a big deal for all the reasons I just mentioned. It's just very influential. I'm not sure whether there's much else to say except for get excited.
Yeah.
Be excited.
Yeah.
This
It's
is
awesome.
This is like from what I've been reading and what I've been like doing a research basically before I came to the show. It's a big cult classic, and it's hard. Like you were saying, it's hard to track the series down and the two movies and finding a reliable site, and also just if you want to get it legally, like how much you're gonna have to like pay in order to get that, and like even like trying to find it legally, like. The minute like somebody buys that $280 like box set, that's probably the only one that like that seller has.
And then what's even so like what's funny? I've had 2 opportunities in my life that I can remember where I had the ability to buy both the box set of the entire series as well as the end of Evangelion. I was at a disc replay near my house, and I had the option between buying these 2 Blu-rays that were also equally, well, not rare, but expensive, and I could get them at a discount. Or there was the perfect collection, this big box of Evangelion. And then I was at a con at one point, and I could have gotten it, but it was like really expensive, and I ended up opting for something that was even more expensive. So, dumb me. But still, like now, this is huge.
Yeah.
So, I mean, again, I'm sounding like a broken record here. This is really cool.
All right, next bit of news that came out from Netflix today is they're making an Ultraman series.
Yes.
This is based on a Japanese movie.
I can explain. So there is a genre of like Japanese like television and filmmaking called like the tokusatsu genre, which is kind of like sort of a dying genre, not necessarily because they still make stuff, and there have been creators. The director of Evangelion, Hideaki Anno, actually put a lot of money into trying to revitalize the genre in recent years. But it's basically kind of like how Power Rangers and those types of series. It's like lots of costumed superheroes fighting giant monsters and stuff like that. Empty warehouses, miniaturized cities and stuff like that.
Of course, yeah.
A lot of that, it's just very, very just fun and is so cool and so nostalgic in a sense. Ultraman is one of the oldest examples of that.
Yeah.
And so I think Production IG is the animation studio. They're producing a CG animated series.
I think it's a series. It looks like it's going to be a series. If it's a movie, then
it's either
I'm
a
wrong,
movie or a
sorry.
series. Either
Netflix
way,
really hasn't confirmed it.
Either way, it looks really cool. The trailer, I showed it to
Yeah.
Alex earlier.
That animation looks amazing.
It looks really
Here's
beautiful.
the thing. I'm not the biggest fan of that kind of style where it's CGI mixed with like anime.
Yeah.
But I will say that out of all of them that I've seen, that one's definitely the best looking one.
As someone who's a big critic of stuff like that, like there's like a studio like Polygon Pictures. They made a lot of anime for Netflix. Like they made the most recent animated Godzilla films. I've had an iffy history with them because some of their animation can be the frame rate can be really low. It's kind of the same problem with like that animated show, The Dragon Prince. It was, the frame rate was very, very slow, which makes certain sequences very jarring because
that's why I'm not the biggest fan of it. That series, I want to start watching it because of the Avatar creators I think are behind it as well. But also I remember they made some like Halo CGI movie. And I remember I was just completely turned off because like halfway through I was like, I can't deal with this animation anymore.
It's been but this movie series, the new Ultraman looks pretty, and what's very exciting, and this is going to only appeal to super nerds like me, but the directors, there's 2 directors, Kenji Kamiyama and Shinji Aramaki.
Oh, I didn't know there was 2.
Yeah,
I don't know Kenji because I love Kenji. I love Ghost in the Shell standalone.
Yeah, so Ghost of the Shell standalone complex, which me and Joe are familiar with, that was one of the biggest entries in the Ghost in the Shell series. It's an incredible series. You can get it on like DVD for like a pretty good price.
Yeah. Sometimes it's on Toonami as well.
Sometimes it's on Toonami as well. Watch that show. It's awesome.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite dramas of all time. But it's him and Shinji Aramaki, who's also known for, who's also directing a new Ghost in the Shell series. But Aramaki also made the Appleseed series, which is another pretty big science fiction series from Japan. Mm-hmm. So the 2 of them are collaborating on this, which to me is just like a total powerhouse of direction mixed together with a studio that has been making awesome stuff for decades. So this
recipe for success.
It's a recipe for success. I will be shocked if this is not good.
The only thing that because the trailer did come out today,
Yeah.
and it's coming out April 1st. The trailer didn't really tell me much, and I've seen the Ultraman Japanese film. I didn't know what was going on in that movie the whole time. I watched it like just as a joke because I knew what Ultraman was. I was like, oh,
Right.
you know, screw it, I'll watch it. And there's just like point where like there's a giant woman attacking the city, and like a dude in a wheelchair makes his wheelchair into like a rocket ship, and he flies at her and kamikazes into her.
Sounds
I'm just
amazing.
like, okay, this is awesome, I guess. Like it's just wild. But I will say that trailer for the anime series, I was like, okay, this looks way more streamlined and straightforward than that movie ever was.
It does look really cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then finally, this is people were arguing what was the bigger news topic. I think this one was the biggest one, and then I would say the Neon Genesis, since not many people know about it, but a lot of people know about this series. For those of you who are fans of Cowboy Bebop, I almost said Cowboy and Bebop. Cowboy Bebop, the like 1998 anime series. I grew up watching it because my uncles actually used to watch it late at night, and I actually would catch like a few episodes with them. Netflix is making a live action 10-episode series of Cowboy Bebop. And Matthew, what do you have to say about that?
Well,
Because I've listed like the good that I think about it and the bad.
so it's going to be a 10-episode series. I forget the studio that is producing it. Tomorrow Pictures, I think, is what it's called.
Yeah.
The first of those 10 episodes is going to be written by Christopher Yost, who was the writer of Thor Ragnarok. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Not to say that I want him to just do the same, apply the same tone that he applied
Yeah.
to Ragnarok to this, but you know, it's a good sign. Good movie, good writer. This is also, legacy of a very good series. I hope that it's. I hope they do it right. I don't know really what to say because.
I got a few things if you want me to take over.
I can say a couple things. It's understandable to be skeptical of anime adaptations. You know, we had the Ghost in the Shell film, which I enjoyed, but wasn't nearly as good as its predecessors in that series. We had the Death Note film, which failed.
Yeah.
And I think that given that it's on Netflix and not necessarily having to pander to these sort of Hollywood standards, there's not much. I don't know if there's as much of a chance of like Hollywood coming in and ruining it. I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful because I generally have faith in Netflix to do the right thing most of the time. With Netflix with like Death Note, that was kind of bad, but that was also bad for
Numerous reasons.
complicated reasons.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask. Like, how hyped would you be for a Cowboy Bebop live ad?
If anything, I am only skeptical not because of what the show could be. I just don't want another controversy to break out over like whitewashing,
Actor choices
over actor choices and whitewashing. It's like it already didn't make sense with Ghost in the Shell because anybody who's watched it knows that the race of the main character was never really a definite thing thematically, and it shouldn't matter. With here, it matters even less. But I just know, but I already saw an article today. It was like, please don't whitewash Cowboy Bebop, and it's like, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter because of like, I don't know. It's complicated.
Yeah, no, I get it. I mean,
so that's really the only thing that worries me. It's not what the show and the showrunners can screw up.
Yeah.
It's what the people in the community can do to screw it over before it comes out.
Okay, so I basically kind of did like a good and the bad thing that I'm looking for with it. The good, I'm more excited that it's actually a TV show rather than a movie Netflix is trying to do, because the example I wrote down is the Death Note adaptation.
Right.
That was terrible, and I was like, I hope to God, and Alex, feel free to jump in at any point if you have anything to say relating to this. That seeing that it's a TV show, I think that's something they can handle way easier than a movie, because Netflix is known for their TV shows compared to their movies. Every so often we get a good Netflix movie, but most of the time we get crap. The other thing is that the original anime director, Matthew
Shinichiro Watanabe.
Thank you. He's a consultant on the anime series, not the anime series. He's a consultant on the live action series. They're gonna have him basically like behind the scenes, probably just doing a bunch of storyboard stuff basically the whole time. And I think that's a great idea. The other thing is, and this is going back to Netflix shows, the show Altered Carbon on Netflix is kind of like this Blade Runner-esque show, like that cyberpunk look.
Yes.
And they've proven they can nail the look down with Altered Carbon. And Cowboy Bebop is kind of a cyberpunk show. Mm-hmm. So I was like, okay, you know what? If you get like some of the production crew from that show, have them kind of do like their own vision and art style of Cowboy Bebop, I think you got something solid here.
As long as I don't go too far into the cyberpunk stuff, because
it's not entirely cyberpunk.
It's not entirely.
It's more Western too.
It's more of like a Western. It's very much a Western cowboy type thing.
Yeah.
It's like you only know that there's like sci-fi stuff in the show when they literally go into space, because so much of the style of the show is really baked in this idea of like what would the future look like in the minds of sci-fi writers from the 90s, which in my opinion is the best breeding ground for science fiction that you can find.
Yeah, and then that was basically like my good, and then the bad I have listed was just two things. And then one of them is not even like a critique, but one of them is like, while we have the writer from Thor Ragnarok, the other writer wrote Jumanji 2, which I did like, but he also wrote Venom. And it's like, so like as much as I like Jumanji 2, I don't really see how he can really do Cowboy Bebop.
Because I'd be worried that
he did Venom. How are you guys
and then he did Venom, and it's just like, ooh, God. When it comes to adapting something, I'm not really on this guy's side.
Yeah, because then it gets into that point where it's like this person seems like the type of guy who is like, he's not like. He's not the type of writer who you're like, oh, this guy's a good writer.
Yeah.
He's the type of writer who it's like, well, here's my paycheck. Let's write it.
And I swear to God, like he wrote Jumanji 2. It's like I better not be seeing Kevin Hart as like one of the characters in the series, like just for comedic relief.
Oh, Kevin Hart is Jet Black. Oh my God. But I just hope that because when you compare like the Bebop crew to other like sci-fi ensemble casts, it's very easy for people to make comparisons that aren't really all that warranted. Like people could say like, oh, they just got to make it like Guardians of the Galaxy.
I was gonna say,
because the dynamic of the Bebop crew is so different, because their dynamic is baked in these very kind of occasionally depressing and just very real like stories about people and like their tragic backstories, and there's a lot of, for all of the laughs and enjoyment that came from watching them interact in the show, there was just as much like emotion that came from like the reasons why they put up with each other for 25 episodes.
Sorry. Kind of like had like a little burp over the mic.
So
the last thing to me, and it's nothing I have really a problem right now with it, but I just want to know is what they're going to do with the soundtrack for this.
Yes.
Because the soundtrack was one of the best parts about this show. I mean, here's just a sample, and I'm going to play a song from the show as well once we're done.
Yeah, during our next break.
But here's the opening credits soundtrack. I mean, it just sounds awesome. I mean, you got some really good saxophone, and just even the art while this whole title sequence is going on is very well done.
Yes.
It's kind of done in a comic book style, but it's done with just colors, vibrant colors, giving this whole like neon look. It looks awesome.
The soundtrack was done by Yoko Kanno, who is an exceptional musician.
Yeah.
She also did the soundtrack to Standalone Complex, which we were talking about earlier. She has done the music for a lot of different shows. The band that composes the music for Bebop, the Seatbelts, they are a band that was formed for the express purpose of creating the music for this series.
That's awesome.
Cool. That's really cool.
She's a mastermind, and here's the thing. If they get her to do a new album for this show specifically, I will watch it no matter how bad it is.
I don't blame you. I mean, the music in this series was always top notch. I never got to see the movie. I know you did over the summer. You were
Movie's
talking
pretty
about
good.
it. I definitely want to check that out.
We should do a viewing of that.
I would not mind, actually.
Probably watch the show at some point.
Yeah.
And the show's actually not that many episodes either, right?
It's like, well, it shows like 25 episodes or so. Yeah.
And once again, probably like 25 minutes tops each episode. So Easy to breeze through.
I know that we only had those 3, but there was one more Netflix-related announcement that I wanted to make.
Gotta make it real quick.
Yeah, I'm going to make it real quick. So Castlevania is a cool series, right? Yeah, well, the same people who made the Castlevania series, they're making a Devil May Cry animated series, and even better yet, they're going to apparently have a shared multiverse type thing, which I was never expecting in a million years, but...
That's really
hey,
cool,
we already got one really terrible Devil May Cry anime in like the early 2000s. It'll be nice to see one done well. That's all.
Alex, you got anything you want to add in?
See you, Space Cowboy.
All right. Yeah, that's about it here on Variety V. So thank you for tuning in for the first live show. Unfortunately, we won't be back for next week's show, and we won't be back for the week after that. We'll be back on December 12th, actually. Oh, I'm sorry. December 19th is when we'll be back. December 5th and December 12th, unfortunately, there's a basketball game going on both those nights.
And then the next episode that you hear from us will be my last episode on the show for the break. Because then the week after that, I'm going to Florida. So
yeah, hopefully we can find, like, once winter term starts here at North Central College, all 4 of us will be here, and it'll be great. But that week, I can tell you already, the film we're going to be reviewing is Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
Yes.
So definitely, get excited for that. I'm looking forward to that film.
Absolutely.
We'll be reviewing that. Possibly Mortal Engines, if I check it out, if you guys want to check it out too.
You tell me if it's good, and if it's good, I will absolutely watch
I've been making fun of that trailer for the longest
I
time
have too.
because of the old lady's voice.
Spider-Verse, I have plans to see with a few people back home, so you guys gotta, Sorry. But yeah, that will be the film we'll be reviewing. We'll cover any news topics, anything else that's coming out around then. We're gonna be reviewing Castlevania Season 2 at some point, hopefully soon. If we don't get around to it over this next few weeks, we'll get around to it when like the new year starts, like the first show of January. We're already planning to do the Red Dead Redemption 2 review. And then if you want, since Matthew, I don't know if you'll have it at that time, we can just do the Castlevania Season 2, the same episode, and just have 2 reviews back to back.
Yeah.
But other than that, thank you for tuning in for the first live episode. If you want to follow us on Twitter, just go on @VarietyViso. You can also follow us on Twitter as well by following @RequestWNC. You'll see tweets from us retweeted by this account as well. So either VarietyViso or RequestWNC. Go on our YouTube channel. Just go on YouTube, type up VarietyViso. We have plenty of reviews. We just reviewed the new Netflix action film, The Night Comes For Us. Not made from the guys that starred in the raid, but the guys that starred in the raid are in that movie, and it's a fantastic action film if you haven't checked it out. Definitely check out that review. You can find other podcast episodes on there as well. And we'll basically see you guys pretty soon. I'm Joe Viso.
I'm Alex Perez.
I'm Matthew Lundeen.
And thank you for tuning in to Variety Viso. Up next, we have the Seatbelts, the band that basically made music for Cowboy Bebop, with their song Tank.